Hi, my name's Denise. In this video I'm going to show you some pieces of when I was painting Bridget. This is the finished piece. And just a few changes that from halfway through doing her and just the finishing bits, I've videoed some. And I'm using some new to me paints, Liquitex matte. And so I might have to pop in the unboxing and show you those. They arrived. I was going to be really disciplined and just get the primary colours. Incidentally, I have very, very rarely done that, maybe ever. I'm terrible, like a kid in a candy shop. When I go to the art store, I buy lots of colours, always have. Been painting for more than 20 years and yeah, it's interesting, you know, after I think of sometimes the idea of minimalism, and I kind of love the idea, but not. When it comes to art supplies, it would be very hard to be a minimalist, I think, especially for me. But I'm very curious about the color mixing thing. It's like it's a new interest kind of returning. Within the art practice, I think sometimes we go through all different phases of things that seem more pressing or calling to us to work on. Sometimes it's design, sometimes it's values, sometimes what are we going to paint? And then the whole world of colour, which is a huge world of its own. And, you know, the warm palette, the cool palette, mixing those together, you get very different. Say with the cool yellow and the cool blue, you get a cooler green. But with that ultramarine, warm blue and a warm yellow, you'll get a more dirtier green. So I used some of these new paints to mix the green that shows up in this painting. There's a few different greens, but most strikingly, I love the robe that she's wearing with the stripe. And so I feel like this painting is harmonizing so much better because I've used the yellow and blue to make the green, and then I've used that blue and that yellow in the painting. So it's like they're all talking to each other. That's what we mean by when a painting is in harmony. So that's really been fun. I think I will look into doing that a lot more, doing more colour mixing, and looking at the primaries and see what I can do. I think I had a bit of a blockage around it, thinking it would be hard to get back to the same colour. You know, when the style I was painting many years ago, maybe it wasn't as organic and kind of intuitive or abstracty as what I want my work to sort of lean toward now. And so now I think I'm seeking more sophistication in the palette than I was aware of at the beginning. So that's what I mean with learning as you do it. And you can never know all there is to know about colour, that's for sure. It's such a huge, vast topic. So yeah, there's some fun things I did within this painting, like using some masking fluid. I didn't show putting it on, but you'll see in this video the removal, which is quite fun, the reveal. So I just decided to use an antique white that I've got to do the background in this one. It's just got a little bit of warmth in it, and I thought it would just work well as I've used it in little bits and pieces around this painting. So that's why I've gone ahead and done that for this background. And I had to wait quite a while to be sure that the masking fluid was dry. And it was a fun way to do some sort of organic shapes and let go of perfection of them needing to be neat. And so much more easy than, say, painting those blobs later. Because I can keep making sure I've got the white kind of wall background color. You can paint over and over the dried masking fluid, and then you get that kind of perfect blue matching the blue that you had already laid down. So I haven't done this a heck of a lot before, but I enjoyed the effect of this, that the shapes came out quite organic and kind of loose. So that was a good way to bring in some patterns. I quite love gingham tablecloths, and it takes a bit of patience to do those. So I just used sort of dots of the white because I was looking carefully. I used to think it really was just the dark and the light, but if you look at gingham, it's often got a dark light and a lot of medium. So I just did that kind of using dots, and so it's roughly like gingham. Okay, I'm getting ready to take the hopefully stripes and spots away with the masking fluid because this paint's dried now. So let's see how that goes. Oh, this feels really great. I've been wanting to bring in more patterns, but more patterns that are kind of spontaneous for me rather than, you know, copying the same patterns as Matisse, because I'm being very inspired by his design and the shape that he has, the lady, and the compositions. But I really want to keep pushing forward to keep bringing in my sensitivities to then eventually, you know, morph into more they're more mine than his, and that's what I'm working towards each time. So yeah, this feels really fun. I was looking at this one's head wrap sort of thing, and I tried out, I thought of the idea of giving her some hair instead, and just sort of more as if the fabric was more like a headband. And so I just painted out the headband, I think with some sort of gold at first, and then a dark, deep browny black, just so that if I was to use graffito where you carve into wet paint, there'd be a little bit of variation, because I thought I would just use the sienna sort of colour for her hair, like so she's kind of a redhead. I just felt like that would work well with this colour scheme. So yeah, a bit of black, which because I knew I was going to paint over that. And I think it just sort of changed it enough that I felt like it made more sense. Sometimes those hair wraps look quite exotic and gorgeous, but I think with this one it felt a little bulky and a bit much, and I didn't want it to look like a shower hat or something. So that's what caused me to go ahead and make a change to that. And then using that colour just with her hair, I wanted to put it in more places in the painting. So I sort of dotted it around. That's what you can do when you bring a new colour into your painting. Dot that colour around at least 3 different places, so that it's like it was part of the story all along. Helps it belong. So that's what I've done with this one. So here's the unboxing of the Liquitex matte paints. This was sort of like a Christmas present to myself, a bit late. ordering a whole new range of colours, and it's paint I hadn't used before. And one of the main reasons I've ordered these is I intend to use them in my sketchbook or on paper to practice doing some still life painting. And the reason I wanted to use matte is because they should be less sticky for the pages, and just a whole new sort of something for me to test out and play with. So I got them in these small little bottles, and I sort of got a warm and cool of the primaries, and then several other additional ones, like a fluorescent opera pink. I had been wanting to get a Holbein, Holbein brand of opera pink some time ago, and that just didn't eventuate. So when I saw opera pink was available in this one, I thought I would get it for the fun of it. And then now, and what you're seeing on the screen is me doing the worst colour swatching you may have ever witnessed. I've seen other people do these beautiful little squares when they're testing out their new paints, but look, I must have been in a fairly impatient mood that day, and I just wanted to get into these paints, take off those little seals, and then I just ended up smooshing them on the paper so that it is a colour swatching of sorts, but hectic. But that's okay. It is what it is. Oh my goodness. So, it might be a case of don't do this at home. But anyway, it was, those little funny little pieces that you tear off, often they ended up in the bin or they kind of get messy somewhere. So this was just one way of me quickly trying out these matte paints. And I haven't really been back to use them yet. I had a couple of commissions to paint, so that had been taking up my time, and also finishing off some other small ones. But as you've just seen, the painting called Bridget, I did use some of these matte paints and quite enjoyed them. And so I'm looking forward to much more experimentation of them and trying them out in my sketchbooks. So I'll be sure to share that with you when I come to doing that. You can see on this page I did try putting just a little bit of white with some of them to show, especially it's quite yummy to see what kind of pinks will you get. And then there's sort of a minty green. What is the green I've got? The green is emerald green that I've chosen, and the cadmium red light is the one that looks quite orange. So that's cadmium red light. And so I thought I didn't need to buy an orange, just mixing a bit of yellow with that will easily give you oranges, all kinds of orange. I'm not a big orange user, even though it's quite a beautiful colour, but yeah. So that's what's happening there with the liquitex paints. Yeah, I'll be really interested to see how I like them. And I think they dry quite quickly. In fact, they are acrylic gouache. So that's curious. Although I believe they don't behave like regular gouache, which I believe you can re-wet when it's on the palette. Whereas these are, with that acrylic nature, they dry, and then I don't believe they loosen again with water added. I think once they dry, that's it. So that's something important to know about the kind of paint that you're using. And I guess it's the beauty of watercolour that things can re-wet if you want them to. But I think maybe with the still life kind of paintings that I want to do, I guess I won't need that quality. And I'm not all that familiar with using watercolour and having that kind of quality of re-wetting anyway, so I guess that's fine. Yeah, that's about all I can think of to say with these. This was really just a hurriedly testing of all those colours and to see what they look like on that page and how they behave on this paper. And yeah, a wonder in progress for sure. Okay. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, just leave them down below. I can't remember if I already said that at the beginning of the video. What else? Oh, like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.